Hi, welcome back to my decorating series. We're going to go back to the 10th floor for a sewing room. So this is the final room that is replacing the room that I had originally done, the only room, which was a craft room. I split the concept of that room into 4 spaces, and this is it. It's kind of nice to be wrapping that up after 8 months of this series. And again, I knew there were some very specific objects for this room. I knew we had this Edna Mode sewing table. I believe it was a premium shop item, but I knew we had fabric, and I knew we had sewing tables, and I knew we had spools. Like, I think they're chairs, and I use them as chairs in this room. But ribbon display for the wall. I just knew that there was some stuff to put in here, but I wanted to make it bright and fun and feel kind of similar to the other craft workshop-y type spaces that I have done, but I also still wanted to make it its own thing. So I knew I was focusing entirely on fabric. If I could have put more curtains on the walls in here, I totally would, but no, there's only so much space. And I was dickering about the windows a little bit. I really love those painted windows from Tangled, and they're huge. So even though that's cute too with the kind of individual windows, I go back to the Tangled windows. And of course now I have to begin the scrolling. I knew that the colors in here were going to be difficult to mesh together because we got the Alice in Wonderland stuff. And when I was doing the last room, the atelier, I knew that there was some stuff that specifically had to go in this room and I couldn't even consider for the atelier. And the Mad Hatter's couch, and I think there's a couple of lamps I knew were going to have to go in here. But as, of course, I was putting things down, I realized just how different the colors for the Alice in Wonderland, the Mad Hatter stuff really was from everything else. And so I was just like, you know what? It's fine. This is a work room. There's going to be a lot of different fabrics and materials, colors, patterns, and so the fact that the objects don't all go together is going to be fine. So instead of worrying too much about if it looks like it should go together, I just focused more on what kind of object is it? Does it have like these tables I'm looking at, they have fabric draped on them. They're not really meant to be like the Madrigal table. They're not meant to be just the piece of fabric as the showcase. They're meant to be kind of like a table runner. But I was looking at them like, oh, they look like somebody could be working with a big piece of fabric. They don't end up fitting in this room. I really wanted this room to be bigger. The Edna Mode thing in particular, I was not going to give that up. I don't know any other space that I have an idea for that to live in. And it's a sewing room, and it's a sewing machine. So I had to keep it in here. Like, it was my own rule. And I did it anyway, because it was, even though it was massive. But it made it really tricky to block out this room when I start getting to it. Of course, I have to decide on the walls and floors, and it took me a little bit to decide. But I went with this geode wall because the kind of the blue in it went with the teal curtains for me. The brown in the post, the gold of the other curtains. I felt like it kind of went with all of those pieces. And so I ended up going with it, especially since in the end, the wall is mostly covered with fabric. And I think I use a few memory frames later. But I knew I wanted kind of a big storage area for fabric. I really would like to see more varieties. Again, I'm going to say it. I want more skins for all of the objects. I want more color combinations or texture combinations. I want things to either be empty or full looking, or the ability to put things on things. But because we don't have those options, I just repeated all of the fabric storage. But I really wanted it to look like there was a massive amount of fabric storage in here. Oh, I decided to put the carpets in. And I put them by the Edna Mode sewing thing because I was like, maybe they make carpets. So we have these stacks of carpets and rolled up carpets. And I don't know. I felt like, you could make something like that on a machine, or at least pretend, right? It's all about pretend in this game. And I almost didn't keep the Mad Hatter stuff, but I was like, man, it's too perfect for this room with the pins in it and the fact that it looks like it's, you know, all this mishmash of fabric together. But the stuff in here is huge. If I actually thought about repeating the concept I put in the atelier with the wooden beams kind of creating some storage, like a separate area. I wanted to put those behind the fabric things that are kind of creating a wall right now, just to make it actually look more like a wall. There was no room for that. I would have loved to have done that, but if I could have made this room like 14 by 14 or maybe 14 by 12 or something like that, I might have been able to do it, but it's just, I had to sacrifice some concepts for this room to make it fit in the space that we were allowed. And 12 by 12 is a huge room, but sometimes you need a bigger room. So now, of course, I'm looking for some more stuff to fill up some of the spaces. I liked the geode wall, but I didn't want it to be... I wanted to cover a lot of it. I wanted it to be more background for the stuff that's on top and not detract from the rest of the feel of the space. And it's kind of a bold print, so... At least in busy, maybe? I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. I'm probably not doing a great job of it, but I wanted to cover a lot of it. So, oh yeah, I considered these banners as an alternative to the curtains, but I only mess around with that for like a second or two. We just got a lot of banners from the Sleeping Beauty stuff in the Veil, so I considered it, but I really like the drape of the curtains, and it's hard for me to give that up. I know I do a lot of curtains in a lot of rooms, but again, you like what you like, right? So now I'm just still kind of looking around. Oh yeah, I decided to add a couple of the laundry baskets, even though, you know, we're not doing laundry in here, but you wash fabric and you might have fabric straps. So the one that's between the sewing desks, I kind of viewed as like if you were cutting pieces off or needed to add pieces in, you could keep them in that little basket. And then the one with the folded laundry, I put near the fabric storage because I was like, oh, you could wash it and then put it away. So I don't know. I thought it worked for there, even though they look like laundry. You can imagine that they're fabric instead of clothes, right? Or maybe they are clothes. I don't know. Oh yeah, I went with these memory frames because they fit the space really well. And I got to use some of the pictures that are from the story lines in the game and not images from the movies. And I don't know, I liked having kind of that be just a touch of something pretty in the room and not just functional. Oh yeah, of course I needed more stuff. We always need more stuff when we decorate. Oh, I needed more windows and more curtains because of course I had run myself out because I love them. Oh, and that meant I had to adjust because the curtains were taking up too much floor space, so I had to move everything out of the way so I could put that stuff on the wall and then put everything back as close as it was before, and I had to rearrange some stuff. Now, this is where I start getting into difficulty with lighting. I think that's my only real complaint about this room, is that I'm not really satisfied with the lighting I put in here. I put lights in here that seemed fine, and because this is kind of a workspace, I don't envision using it a lot at night. And that's probably for the best because I don't think the lighting does the space justice for actually working in it, like if you were really in here and working. But I think if I go back and change this room up a bit, that's going to be definitely on my list of to-dos, is to fix the lighting in this room. I think it's fine, and it's definitely not the focus, but I felt like I just kind of made choices because I knew I needed lights in here and not because they really made sense to me. But nothing I was putting in here seemed to make sense. So I just did the best I could and went with it. All right, well, let's go inside and check it out, shall we? This is going to complete the 10th floor today and conclude the crafting work type rooms, the art spaces. It's very nice to be getting to the end of this group of 4 rooms that were replacing the only room I had created before. And I love how colorful all these spaces turned out, how kind of busy and a little over the top these spaces turned out. I'm really glad I got to utilize all of these different objects and kind of give them their own spaces. While I loved that original room I did, it was nice to kind of break them up into categories. So the spools, the sewing tables, all the fabric, this new spinning wheel that we got not too long ago, Edna Mode's sewing table, the Alice in Wonderland stuff. I'm really glad that I got to, give them their own space. And in all honesty, I would have made these rooms so much bigger and just crammed even more stuff just because I think they're my favorite rooms to decorate. But the only complaint I have is this lighting situation. Like, I like the Mad Hatter lights, but they're not really bright. And I like the lanterns from Tangled, but again, not really bright. So I think once I go back and start doing some revamping of some of these spaces, I'm hoping either I'll have gotten some inspiration on what lights to put in here instead, or that new lighting options will come out and give me some more ideas by the time I get back here. Who knows how long it'll take me to get back here. It's taken me 8 months to get halfway through the house, and I want to get through the rest of the house and also at least some of the outdoor spaces. But I'm so glad to be done with the 10th floor. Next week we'll be starting on the 11th floor, and I'm really looking forward to what's next to come. That's it for today's decorating adventure. If you liked this video, a thumbs up is a great way to let me know, and a subscription will keep you up to date on my latest shenanigans. If you want to hang out with me live, I stream on YouTube and Twitch on Thursday evenings and middays on Sunday. I hope you have a lovely day, night, time, wherever you are, whenever you are, and I'll see you next time.